WB might have screwed over this fandom and they might have screwed over Zack Snyder, but there's a new sheriff in town. What's going on, my DC fans, and welcome back to another episode. This one's going to be fun, talking about the Snyder Cut again. Positive things, very positive things about the Snyder Cut. So let's just get right into it. First and foremost, let's talk about Amy Adams. She had some comments a while ago, but it looks like she reiterated those comments more recently in an interview, or she was talking to someone. She simply said she would love to be back in the DCEU, which is great, and it's better than her saying she doesn't want to come back to the DCEU. She would love to play Lois Lane again. But then she follows that up with saying, I think they're going into a different direction, though. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh my God, they're rebooting, and this isn't good, this is really bad. But she simply doesn't know. She is just assuming. She is an actress. She hasn't been called. No one has said that they're rebooting. No one has said, you're not Lois Lane anymore. She just hasn't gotten a call for that role again, which means nothing. Same thing with Henry Cavill. Until he gets that call again, that, okay, we're doing another Superman movie, he's still Superman. They haven't recasted a Superman. So all this negativity surrounding these characters that we think are gone, they haven't recasted them yet. This is not a reboot. Now let's go right into the meat and potatoes of this video. AT&T. AT&T is going to give us the Snyder Cut. And this is fun because AT&T, they bought out Warner Brothers. Therefore, AT&T is in control of WB and all of their moves, and AT&T can now has any property they want of WB. Simply loving this. I don't know if this is true. I've heard it from people before. I've heard it from other sources saying they think there's a power struggle between WB and AT&T. And honestly, I think that power struggle is over the DCEU and what to do. I mean, what other power struggle is there? WB makes movies. That's what they've been doing for a long time. AT&T does not. So if WB wants to make a movie and they ask AT&T for the money or say they're going to make this movie, AT&T is probably going to be like, yeah, sounds good. But then they get these DC characters, these DC properties, and everyone is screaming for the Snyder Cut, the Snyder Cut, the Snyder Cut. It's all over the place. So then AT&T is like, yo, WB, what the hell is going on with this? Oh, we don't want to touch that. Well, from what we're hearing, it's a movie that's already finished that's just sitting on the shelves. Why wouldn't you release that? It's a long story. No, AT&T is going to release that shit. And that's why they have the Warner Media now, their own thing. And this is why I think they're going to bring back Zack, and they're going to let Zack finish his Snyderverse. Now, some of you might think I'm crazy. I've been saying this for a while now. I highly believe it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I highly believe it's going to happen. So what I think is going to happen is, okay, WB is going to have their DCEU, and you can, maybe they'll put Robert Pattinson in there as the new Batman, and then maybe they'll recast the Superman, right? Over here with WB. But then Warner Media is like, hey, we see that, Snyder has a shit ton of fans, and they all want Snyder's vision. How about we do our own little thing over here with Warner Media? And maybe that's connected to HBO Max somehow. And for instance, you can take Gal Gadot's character, Wonder Woman, and you can still have her in the WB DCEU, if you will, but then you can still have her in Zack Snyder's vision. I know a lot of people will say, oh, that will get really confusing. I don't think so. It's just going to be, again, this is why they did the multiverse thing. This is why they had Ezra Miller's Flash in the CW, to set up the multiverse. So when people, if there are people that are confused, or the general audience, which I really don't think they will be confused, they'll just be like, oh, this is a different Justice League thing going on over here. This is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Why do you think it's called that? Over here, coming out of Warner Media. And Zack can give us the Snyder Cut, which will be attached to Warner Media. It will be their thing. And then he can come back and do JL2 and JL3. And then that will be done. And then, again, as I've been saying, you can reboot these new Batman character, Superman characters into, because Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they are successful. So you want to keep Jason Momoa and you want to keep Gal Gadot as those characters, and then the Flash is finally getting his own movie, and you'll see how successful that is. This is what I think is going to happen, and AT&T has complete power. WB can't do shit. That's the beauty of it. WB screwed this whole situation up. We still haven't got a statement from them, haven't got anything, but AT&T is over here like, we own your asses, and we need money. AT&T needs money. They just bought Warner Brothers for like $50 billion, like some crazy amount. They are struggling for money. So you mean to tell me that there's a movie that is already complete that everyone wants to see and they're not going to release it? That's going to happen. And again, that movie makes a shit ton of money and does very well. And I already think it's in the works. I already think Zack is back. Zack is going to finish his arc over here. And WB, do whatever the hell you want over here. Okay? Do your own thing. If this doesn't happen, if everything I said is false, and they just released a Snyder Cut and that's it, they're killing the fan base. Yes, some of the Snyder fan base, they will be happy. Yes, they'll be. Well, all of us will be very happy when we see the Snyder Cut. We'll be very happy. But then after that, what happens next? When you get a new Batman, when you get a new Superman, people are still going to want to see Zack's vision fully complete. So if they do not bring him back, they're losing fan base. And you can argue it's a small fan base. You can argue it's a big fan base. We just don't know. But there's only one way to find out. And that is to release the cut and see how much money it makes. If you release the Snyder Cut, if you release it in movie theaters, and it makes $50 to $100 million, I'm just throwing a number out there, then you can say, okay, he really doesn't have that much of a fan base. But on the other side, you release that movie, and it makes over $1 billion, then you're really scratching your head. Then you're like, shit, we need this man back ASAP, now. And the longer this goes on for, the longer we don't have answers from AT&T, from WB, the more and more fans they lose, the more and more money they lose. And I'm already starting to think it's happening. It's already starting to happen. And the true test is going to be Wonder Woman 1984. That is going to be the true test, because we can see what happened with Shazam and Birds of Prey. We can see that. Wonder Woman made somewhere around $900 million when it came out, the first one. So you would think the second one, since it was very successful, should make over $1 billion. If it goes below that, it depends on how much it goes below. If it's just a little bit, a couple million, still very successful. Even it making it's good. I feel like it's going to be successful. But if it takes a huge dive and it makes like 300 million or 400, then you have a real issue. Then what I said is true again. What I said is these true DC Snyder fans, which I believe are a lot of them, they don't want any more DC movies without Zack attached to it. They don't want that. Wonder Woman 1984 is a true test. We need to see how well that movie does. If it does very well, then I could be wrong. I could, and I'll sit here and say I was wrong. But if it does not, then they really need to wake up and figure something out. All right, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Couple things before I go, though. Saturday, I am doing this Saturday, 12:45 p.m. I am doing a live stream with Strong Arm Flicks and my boy Jeffrey Warfield, aka Batman. You need to check it out. These guys, their detective skills are off the chain. I thought I was good at picking up stuff, but these two, they find all sorts of shit, and they're very good at it. So it's going to be a good, interesting stream. Don't forget to check it out. It's going to be fun. Probably a lot of information. Snyder Cut, of course. DC Talk, of course. So please stop by. And yes, please subscribe, because it helps me in return. I can help you. And as always, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, new content's coming to you from Subjective Reviews. And thank you for watching.